Let's talk about how to change the size of an image in Photoshop. I suggest that you start with this image from the downloadable practice files for this tutorial. I'd like to set the size of this image so that it's a good fit for posting to a particular website, where I happen to know that the ideal image size is 900 pixels wide. Before we resize this image, let's check how big it is to start with. In most cases, you'll want to start with an image that's bigger than, or at least not a lot smaller than the resized image that you need. That's because if you enlarge an image a lot, at some point it can start to look blurry. I'll go down to the status bar at the bottom of the document window, and I'll click and hold on the document size information. In the small window that pops up, we can see that this file is 1800 pixels wide by 1200 pixels high. Since we want to put it in a spot that's only 900 pixels wide on our website, that means we'll be scaling it down. To resize this image, I'll go up to the Image menu, and I'll choose Image Size. That opens the Image Size dialog box. If you like, you can make this window bigger by going to the bottom right corner and dragging out. Over on the left, you can see a preview of the image, and on the right are the controls for changing image size. There's a lot of information here, but you don't have to work through all of it, particularly when you're resizing an image that will be viewed on a screen as opposed to print, as we are in this example. So there are just a couple of things to check here. First, make sure that this link icon is on. This is what it looks like when it's on. If I click it, this is what it looks like when it's off. So we want it on to make sure that the width is linked to the height, so that when we resize the image, the original proportion of width to height is preserved, and the image doesn't look squeezed or stretched. Second, make sure that there's a check mark in this box, the Resample box. When this box is checked, you're telling Photoshop that it's okay to throw away some pixels when it makes this image smaller, or if you were making the image bigger, to add some pixels. And third, take a look over to the right of the width and height fields, where you can see the unit of measurement that's being used to report the dimensions of the image. By default, this is set to inches. But when you're sizing an image for use on screen, as we're doing in this example, the correct unit of measurement is not inches, it's pixels. So I'm going to click on either of these two menus and change it from inches to pixels. And the other menu changes too, because the width and height are linked. Now it's time to change the size. I'll go to the width field, and instead of 1800, I'll type 900. You can see that the height field automatically changed, and it changed proportionately. Now here's a bonus tip. If you wanted an image to have different proportions, say 900 by 400 rather than 900 by 600 in this case, the best way to achieve that would be to use another tool, the crop tool, which we're going to cover in another movie. Before I click OK, you may be wondering why I didn't change the resolution field. That's because this resolution field is only relevant when you're preparing an image for print. When you're sizing an image for on-screen use, as in this example, the number in this field really doesn't affect the dimensions of the image. So you can leave it set to whatever it happens to be. So after making those few changes in the image size dialog, we can now come down to the OK button and click there to close the image size dialog box and take us back to the document window. If you like, you can go back to the status bar and check the size of the resized image. I'll click and hold on the information there, and you can see that we now have a 900 by 600 pixel image instead of the original, which was 1800 by 1200. All that's left to do is to save the image. I'll go up to the File menu, and I'm going to choose Save As rather than Save because I don't want to save over the original 1800 by 1200 pixel version. So in the Save As dialog, I'm going to give this version another name. You can type anything you want here. I'm going to type Web for my web-sized version of the file. I'll leave everything else as it was, and I'll click Save. I'll click OK in the JPEG Options window, and now we're done. So that's how to resize an image for on-screen use in Photoshop's Image Size dialog box.